Do you want to run faster without adding more mileage to your training? Maybe you're prone to injury when you try to increase your mileage, or you're juggling a busy schedule and just can't find the time. Or perhaps you're a bit like me at the moment, hitting the limit of what your body's capable of each week, so you're looking for some other smarter ways to perform at your best. Whatever your reason, today I'm sharing my ultimate guide to improving your speed with no extra miles required. Starting out, we're going to have a chat about improving your form. Efficient running is really like a secret superpower. If you can get from point A to point B as efficiently as possible, we can get there faster using the same amount of energy. Let's have a quick chat about some of the basics with good running form. Firstly, let's talk about posture. We want to feel like we're nice and tall, shoulders relaxed, head up and leaning forward from the ankles and not from the hips, giving ourselves a nice forward lean. Secondly, having a chat about the arms. Your arms should swing naturally beside you. You don't want them to be crossing over in front of your body, as this means a lot of wasted energy through our body twisting and having to stabilize that. Thirdly, having a quick chat about cadence and aiming for around about that 170 to 180 steps per minute. This is really going to help us reduce that overstriding, decrease our contact time on the ground. But how do we actually put these things into practice? I'd really recommend choosing one run a week to really dial down and focus on your running form. If it's cadence you want to improve at the time, then I'd recommend getting a metronome app, or if you've got a Garmin, and I think Chorus do it, you can have a metronome on that device as well, and it will beep in time with the cadence that you're aiming for. If you've got a cadence of around about 160, for example, then maybe build that up to 165 for a few weeks and then build it up to that 170 for a few weeks. Don't jump up too quickly, going up about 5 steps a minute increments at the time. Let your body adjust. It does take a little bit of time. Another little handy tip here that I really like to implement when I was really trying to work on my cadence is to work on that arm drive. Increase the speed that you're swinging your arms as you run, and your feet should naturally follow as well. Right, moving on, let's have a chat about giving each run a purpose. This is what so many beginner runners really struggle with. More advanced runners will be mastering this. So if you are more of a beginner runner, take note here. If you're the type of person that does the vast majority of runs all at the same pace, you probably saw some good gains when you started running, and then most likely hitting a plateau and you're really struggling to get faster and build more speed. There's really a couple of different things that could be going on here. You may well be running the vast majority of runs too fast, really opening yourself up for the potential of getting injured, or you could be doing a lot of your runs really too easy and building a good base, which is fantastic, but you're not adding that speed into your routine, so you're not getting faster. So it's really important to learn to run at a range of different paces and intensities. So I just want to go through a few examples here. I've got 3 different examples: 3 runs a week, 4 runs a week, or 5 runs a week, just to demonstrate what I mean by this range of paces that we want to build in our routine. Starting out, someone running 3 runs a week. The first run of the week, most likely to be a interval speed session. The all-time classic 6 by 3 minutes. We're going to be doing our reps here at that 5k pace, so tick that one off. Nice 5k pace for building our routine. The second run of the week, most likely to be a shorter but a very much sort of easy run pace to get our legs nicely recovered. And then at the weekend, a longer run. Again, that easy run pace. So not a load of different paces there. Really, for beginner runners, around 3 times a week, we've got easy run pace and that 5k pace, building that in throughout the week. As we progress a little bit up to 4 runs a week, we're now going to be adding in a tempo run into our week as well, around about 20 minutes at around about our 10k to half marathon pace. That's another pace we've now built into our week. Tick that one off. Up to 5 runs a week now. More experienced runners, we're now probably going to add another easy run into our week, so another tick there for some more easy pace, and then potentially adding some strides at the end of that run, around about that sort of 3k pace, something like that, when you're really sort of opening up the legs, building some really good strength and working on our running form. So that's another pace, tick, add that one in there. And then during our long run, we might add some marathon pace blocks in there, for example. So that's a marathon pace tick into the routine as well there. If you want some real guidance on your paces, the type of paces you should be doing a lot of these runs at, we've got a completely free pacing chart. I'll put it up on the screen now and we'll link to it down below. Just go to the website, hit download, it will just appear on your computer, absolutely free of course, and start building some different paces into your routine. And I'm guarantee you'll see your fitness really improving, both that endurance and that speed as well. Now, maybe you're the type of runner that doesn't love doing speed sessions. Maybe you're a bit more of an older runner, favors running on hills rather than going that all-out pace. Whatever the reason, we can also look at doing some hill reps in there to replace that speed session. Or you can just get a mix. Some weeks are speed sessions, some weeks we're doing hill sessions. Not everyone's got hills available to them, but if you have, these are fantastic. Running up hills really helps strengthen our glutes, our hamstrings, our calves, also help building on that running form as well, getting that nicely landing on our midfoot, which is really a lot easier to do as we're running uphill. So what I recommend, a very basic guide to my hill runs here. Find a hill with a moderate incline. Don't worry about too much finding that perfect hill. Something around 4 to 6% is going to be really good for doing hill reps. Run up the hill at that steady, hard effort for around about 30 to 60 seconds. Somewhere in that range is going to be really good. Focus on driving those knees up and pumping your arms, as I said, to really help build that cadence as well. And then jog or walk back down to the start. Make sure our heart rate is now nicely recovered at the bottom of the rep. Start with around about 4 to 6 reps, then work your way up to around about 8 to 10 reps. Definitely build it into your routine if you can. If you've got those hills there, then this is really going to help get some more value out of your weekly mileage. Moving on to have a chat all about recovery. In order to train hard and implement these more intense sessions into our week, you need to be able to recover a lot better as well. Make sure you're stretching those major muscle groups after your runs, so your hamstrings, your calves, and your quads as well. We've got a full cool down routine that you can follow along to. It really just takes a few minutes, but it's going to make a big difference when it comes to getting ready for your next run. I'd really recommend using a foam roller as well if you can for some more intense self-massage sessions, potentially in the evening, or a massage gun to release any sort of tight spots you've got as well. But as always with these things, use some follow along guides on YouTube to make sure you're using them in the most efficient way possible. Doing things also like yoga to improve your mobility and strengthen those stabilizing muscles are really good with running as well. Again, check out someone like Adrienne on YouTube, do some of those follow along routines, and then finally refueling after your runs with that recovery shake. As long as you're getting around about that 3-to-1 carbohydrate to protein ratio, it just kickstarts that recovery process to help rebuild those muscles. And then finally, of course, getting some really good sleep is going to make that all important difference, as that's when our whole body is repairing to come back stronger the next day. Now, you may have heard of the term cross training, getting some alternative different types of cardio. There's no doubt about it, but running more really is the best way of adding running fitness. But as we said at the start of the video, that's not going to be available to everyone. We can't just keep running more and more. We all have those limits. So we can look at other ways of adding that cardio fitness with things like cycling, ellipticals, and swimming as well, to build that endurance, that speed, and that VO2 max even more. But because the impact of these types of cross-training activities is so much less than with running, our heart rate zones are also different for these activities as well. So to get the same intensity and that effort, we need to spend a bit more time doing them than we would if we were running. You can't simply replace a 30-minute run with a 30-minute elliptical and expect to get the same sort of effect. So for example, my sort of rough guide with this one that I use in my own training, so if I'd like to add an extra 60-minute run into my week, this would roughly mean spending around 2 hours on the cross trainer. With where my own training is at the moment, I've taken out a couple of double run days, which I'd usually like to do, and I could do them quite well a few years ago. So I'd have taking out 2 30-minute runs for in the week and replacing them with 2 60-minute sessions on the elliptical. It's also possible to add some extra intensity into our week if that's what you want to build in. Similar to our run sessions, we can do these on the cross trainer or the bike as well, just by increasing the resistance of the machines. So using our earlier example of that 6x3 minute session, really quite easy to do this on a cross trainer, just increasing the resistance for those 3 minutes and then dial it back down again for the recovery. Bikes are really good to replicate some of our longer, more sustained efforts, I find as well. So if you're looking to add maybe a 20-minute tempo into your routine, but don't want to do that via running, then doing this 20-minute tempo on the bike is definitely something that is possible. If you want to look at a couple of elite athletes and have some deep dives on some podcasts and some interviews with them, Jess Stenson in Australia doing a lot of her cross training on the elliptical, or a famous example here in the UK, well, he actually lives in the Netherlands now. Jake Smith does a lot of, again, cross training on the cross trainer using the assault bike as well, and has also done a lot of strength training in the last couple of years as he's been quite an injury prone athlete recently, but it's really starting to pay dividends as he's coming back into some really good form at the moment. And then building on that little point there from Jake Smith, while this is definitely going to be improving our cardiovascular system, we're not getting that resistance back up from the road that we need. So we also need to be doing some strength training as part of our routine to get our legs strong, or even stronger, so we can cover the ground in a more efficient way as well, as we touched on the start. So let's have a chat all about strength training. So strength training is so relevant at the moment. So many of our elite runners are building this into routine by building our muscles, especially our legs and our core, to create more power with each stride. Again, we're just going to get it from point A to point B more efficiently. Again, this becomes even more important as we age. So if you're in that 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus age category, for me, it's now a complete non-negotiable. I have to be doing this if I want to keep my running fast and serious and relatively competitive. So I'd really recommend focusing on some key exercises. The things I'm focusing on at the moment are squats and lunges. These are going to target those glutes, those quads, hamstrings as well. These are the three powerhouse muscles of running. And then also focus on some good core exercises, some planks, some bridges. Why it's so important to strengthen that core during the back end of races, especially. Running form sort of suffers, they become fatigued as muscles fatigue, and our upper body can be moving around all over the place, just wasting so much energy here. That strong core will keep everything taut and just allow us to move in the most efficient way for as long as possible. So again, how do I recommend putting this into practice? How do I put this into practice? Putting a short circuit together. A lot of these things you can simply do at home. Doing things just something like 10 squats, 10 reverse lunges, 10 bridges, and then a 30-second plank. And if you're new to strength training like this, do 2 to 3 rounds of this, and then over time build up to 5 to 6 rounds. Again, as you progress, add some weights, add some kettlebells to these routines. So there we have it. Getting faster isn't all about running, but as I said throughout this video, running really is the best way we can be doing this, but it's not always available to everyone. There's lots of other things we can be doing on top of that mileage. Once we've maxed out that mileage, all these other things come into play so we can become a better, faster, happier, stronger runner overall. Let me know which tip you're going to be trying first, or any tips you would like to share with the running community down below. Next up, we've got a video all about how to improve your running form, so go and check that one out over here. That's it, guys. Keep on working hard, keep on it done. I'll see you very soon in the next one.